The views and opinions expressed in this video are not those of Show and Tell Comics. But so
Hey guys, I'm the Last Bob. I'm a comic writer. This is Christian the Show Towers. He's a comic artist, and this is Show and Tell Comic Review. We buy boxes of random indie comics from comic book stores all over the U.S. and review what they send us. You know how social media works. Look what we got.
So today's comic is called The Little Depressed Boy. It was published by Image Comics. It was written by Sean Stevens Strubble and drawn by Sina Grace. The comic book follows a character who, by the looks of it, appears to be some kind of stuffed doll come alive. Yeah, honestly, it kind of reminded me of Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Follows the stuffed doll known as the Little Depressed Boy. Everybody calls him LDB for short. So from what I gathered in this comic is that he is a depressive who spent most of his time reading comics, very sheltered indoors. However, he meets this young lady named Spike, and she's kind of gets him out of his shell and starts taking him out and showing him the world, basically. And so the comics basically go over all of the different challenges that he faces in day-to-day life, from work to personal relationships and things of that nature. In this particular episode, we follow him taking Spike to a show where his best friend is going to be performing. Now, his best friend is one of these contortionists that can basically torture his own body for other people's amusement. And this particular episode revolves around the fact that when he goes to this show, he ends up running into an old flame, or at least what he thought was a flame, and it stirred up some emotions that were apparently unresolved. And I mean, that's basically the gist of it. So now that we know what it's about, Bob, what do you got for us, man?
Her name was Spike. I wonder what it's short for, or is it a nickname? Like they don't give any. When you have a girl named Spike, you have to give some kind of a background. You can't just leave it like that. You know what I mean? There's got to be some kind of tale behind that.
So from what I gathered, this isn't the very first issue of Little Depressed Boy.
It's not.
No, it's not. So like I said, originally this started as a webcomic. In the back section there, they have this the letters column, where they go over all the letters they received from fans and whatnot, talking about how great it was. And in one of them, they actually made clear that this this particular issue is actually a comeback of the Little Depressed Boy. So it looks like there were other issues.
This is like another volume, but it's the number one of that narrative. And the narrative is supposed to be there too, guys. So it's Little Depressed Boy, supposed to be there too. So had I done my research, we probably wouldn't even be reviewing this. But since we're already here...
Wait. Now we're ready.
I like the art. I thought the art was pretty cool. It fit the story, I thought.
Yeah, it definitely fit the story. The vibes that it gave me, I felt like I was reading one of these old Archie comics. Yeah, a little more rendered out than that.
Yeah, but you saw what he was reading at the end, because at the end, it kind of abruptly goes into him standing in a comic book store reading a comic, and you're reading this comic, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Is this just like we threw this in as a bonus to make it 25 pages or something? So I'm like, all right. And then you realize he's just reading a comic at a comic book store, which is pretty cool, I thought. I guess it was probably the coolest part of the book. Oh, and the guy outside the comic book store getting shit on by a pigeon. I don't know if you saw that, but a bird shit right on his face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did get... What the hell was that?
Funny.
Yeah, I think he's actually in a music store from what I'm gathering.
A music store?
Yeah, because the store is called the Starving Ear. So it says it has CDs, cassettes, and vinyl. Because even from what I read from the fans in the letters column, it's very obvious that the fans of this comic all have one thing in common, and that is that they are all depressed. They all suffer from some kind of ailment. that doesn't let them get through everyday life without, feeling like crap. They all kind of talk about how this comic somehow helps them go through that. So I could see that it has a very particular niche, but if you're not a depressive, if you're not in tune with these kind of emotions, like for me, for example, it didn't really resonate with me because it just, I felt like I was reading something that was kind of going nowhere. It felt very aimless, and so for me, it kind of, toward the end, it actually kind of started dragging on because I wasn't invested in the characters. I wasn't invested even in the story because there really was no story.
There's no story
it was
at
just a little slice of life, but it was a slice of life that was not, it didn't favor my palate.
Wasn't privy to you. Right? Well, I used to be a depressive. I'm no longer, anything like that now. But so had the story been good, I would have been able to relate with it. But it was just this, beta male crybaby whining about, being the side hustle for some dude. You're just like, you allowed her to humiliate you, dude. You know what I mean? So
I don't like it.
The views and opinions expressed in this video are not those of Show and Tell Comics.
From there on out, things just got worse.
And then he lets her chase him out of the venue, and she was as nice as could be. You know what I mean? Like, let it go, man. It's been a year already, and you've got another girlfriend, and she looks pretty hot to me. You know what I mean? What you whining about, bro? It's not like you. Well, we get into any details, but the point is.
Well, let's get into the details. Spoiler alert. All of our videos have spoilers.
Well, no, I mean the details of like who he could be with. You know what I mean? Like, usually guys in his state of mind aren't with girls so pretty. And she's really, upbeat and like, hey, come on back in there. Don't let her chase you out. And that's why I'm saying he's a beta male because she got more balls than he does. I thought really that there was going to have this, that she was going to be jealous and all this stuff about it. And he was going to be distant from the whole thing, But it turned out that he was upset about it, and she wanted him to go back in and show him what's up.
Right. I found myself a little disappointed in one particular aspect, and that is that the way they were setting up the story at the beginning, like by page 4, when he and his friend are going through this comic book store and they're picking out the comics they're going to read that night and whatnot, his friend seems very interested in meeting this girl that I guess he's told him about before, Spike. And, so the way they were setting it up, it almost seemed like they were going to go with this whole thing that maybe Spike was going to take more of an interest in his friend, and then maybe that was going to cause some kind of turmoil, some kind of drama, something to give the story something for me to get excited about. But they didn't do that. It was all very elementary school stuff, like, to me, this kind of character, honestly, like, I wouldn't read entire issues of this guy's life. Like, this is the kind of character that belongs in newspaper comics. Like
tiny, short, maybe 4 panels. Boop, boop,
yeah.
Boop, boop. Next week.
Like, if they do little things like that are maybe 10 panels long or something like that, then this could be an enjoyable character because it's something that you see every so often.
All right, 10 panels then.
What, is that generous?
Yeah, that was a little generous. I was thinking 4, maybe a 5th to let him, and next week.
Damn, so you're talking like Family Circus, like maybe just like one big panel?
Don't put him up there with Family Circus now.
Oh my god.
They're a household name.
They are. They only ever did one panel at a time.
Yeah. But this was like, what was I fixing to say? I lost it. Back to you. Back to you, Chris.
I feel like if they just kept it in these short bursts, it would be more palatable, at least for people like me. Like I said, if you are depressive and you are very involved in that kind of diaspora, then I could see how this, comic book might be relatable.
It's science.
And I mean, since being depressed has kind of become a, and again, I'm not trying to get canceled here, but it kind of has become fashionable.
Yeah.
A
lot of things have become fashionable.
As far as the world building goes, I mean, this does seem to just take place in the everyday world. He's just an extraordinary character. And I don't know, like, I couldn't find anything, because I did do some research on it after I read it, because I had so many questions, and the very first question I had was, why is he the way that he is? Like, he's this stuffed doll.
I'm ensconced in pleather.
Which, like you mentioned earlier, could be a symbolism of some kind, to go with the fact that he doesn't feel quite alive, which is a thing that comes with depression. But at the same time, it's just like he's literally a stuffed doll, stitched up. He almost looks like one of those like Raggedy Ann dolls, but without any other hair or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm betting that had this image been of just a regular guy, this book would have went nowhere. That's what caught people's eyes, like, oh, that's how I feel, so I identify with that. Oh, we're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, they're gonna hate us for this one, but it's just we gotta be honest, guys. We gotta be honest, and this is just how we felt about it.
We gotta put a suicide number up, so you like, oh.
Yeah, but we're doing. Let's stop.
No, wait, let me say something. Let me say something.
If y'all guys haven't noticed yet, I'm the dick of the show. So.
Yeah. But then okay, so that's world building. Again, his character, like I said, I had that question. I didn't find anything as to why he is that way, or if they're even going to explain how he this doll come to life. So as far as his character goes, I didn't have much to go off of either to really get in tune with it. So then, like, if we go now into the delivery of the story, visual storytelling wasn't great. I will say this, the comic was easy to follow. I didn't get lost at any point, so I give him that. It didn't leave me guessing at any point, but at least me personally. But as far as like the visual storytelling in the decisions of the angles and the points of views that they used, I didn't really feel like there was any intelligible flow. I felt like they were just kind of choosing random
it was like the little depressed boy was choosing the angles. It's like
yeah exactly. Like page 4 was one of my favorites. I did like the way they delivered that page, the one where they're in the comic book store picking out these comics, and the other pages when they just arrived to that bar and they pick their seats, that he's like, he notices why that table is empty, and it's because of this post being in the way. Right. That page was also delivered very well, but everything else, I don't know, it all just kind of felt at random. I didn't feel like there was any particular flow or any kind of thought behind like the angles that they chose here.
Right. I gotta look at one more thing too right here on the credits page, because I saw some glaring mistakes. Like, either these guys did this and sent it in like this, or they were super pissed when they got it back. Let me see how many editors there are in this fucking thing. Hold on. But anyway, there was a place here where there was a speech bubble with no text in it at all.
See, but that's one of the things I liked.
but did I miss something? Did I miss the metaphor?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so to me, what I got from that is that that was just their interesting way of showing that she was still talking, but he wasn't listening.
Okay, all right.
Because you got to keep in mind, like, her coming to him all of a sudden stirred up these emotions. Now, a lot of people, they do this thing, and I think that the term for it is dissociate. And this is very common among people who are depressive and stuff like that. Whenever like negative emotions come up or stuff, they'll dissociate. So they're kind of like stare off into space, and they're not really there anymore. And so I think that was their way of doing that, which, if it is, and I didn't misunderstand that, then that's all. I like the way they did that.
But it seems like he's looking right. No, he's staring straight ahead. I see now. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just this far below meh, just a notch or so.
No, I felt the same way. Yeah, like for me, again, this felt like a story that went nowhere. So I can't even say, man, because I really didn't feel anything for the story. Like,
Yeah.
I read it and I'm like, okay, well, there's a few minutes I'm never getting back. It didn't go anywhere.
Right.
I don't know. It's just I didn't connect with it. If anything, I gotta admit, I actually enjoyed the second little comic strip that was in it.
I did enjoy that. I was gonna say that.
I enjoyed that one a little more. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, I wonder if that's in Image Comics books. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, but again, even that comic, I'm glad that all we got was that little snippet. It was fine.
Yeah.
I was satisfied.
They should have.
It would have been a whole issue, I don't think I would have read the whole issue.
Yeah, they should have put that comic in where that's what he should have grabbed out of that box. You know what I'm saying? Like, it tells you who they are at the bottom of the image, you know. So that's the comic, and then blah blah. I'm like, oh, that okay, so, you know. But he was,
right.
But it ended. Because I thought it ended with him standing in a comic book store reading that. But as you pointed out, those boxes are obviously too big for comics. Those are record boxes. So I was still. So now I'm back to being thrown off as to why that was in there. It should say like the next day, or 2 weeks later, or 2 years later. I don't know, something.
Well, but like, what the hell for though? Because it's just okay. They were at a music store, but then what? And again, this is just a comic, just kind of there. It's a slice of life, and I get that. But at the end of the day, still nothing happened. It's a slice of life where nothing happened. You know, like I read a novel like this, and still, even though the novel was just a slice of life, it was a good novel. It was called The Children of Light by a novelist named Robert Stone, and it like revolved around, you know, this TV Hollywood studio set where the main actress was this delusional woman that suffered from like schizophrenia, and you know, she saw these entities, and then one of the producers or ex-producers, the guy who actually wrote the film, he comes onto the set, and they end up having this like wild fling, you know, because the old feelings are awakened. And I mean, the book pretty much goes nowhere, but the way that the story was told and the things that happened in between made it worthwhile. Like with this one, is like if they at least would have done that, where like everything that happened in between made it worthwhile. But for me, it didn't. Like all I got was a scene where it's like, okay, yeah, you introduce his friend and he's a body contortionist. That's okay. But then he runs into this old, you know, I call it an old fling, but it's not really an old fling. What it is that this was somebody that he simped for, and he's ashamed of the fact that he simped for her so hard.
She was cuckolding her boyfriend. He was the simp. And then he got for a year. This has been affecting.
Right. So it's just like that's all I got out of that, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, like I don't know. It's just I didn't feel like there was anything to get out of this comic. Again, it could be because I'm not attached, emotional.
I don't think so. Well, like I said, I would be able to relate because I used to be in that kind of state, you know, that fallen state. But so had the story was good. Even if it was a nowhere going story, like you said, if it was interesting, then it would have gotten my attention, you know. The only thing I wonder is how long it's been since that night and they're standing in that record store. I don't know why I want to know, but there's you force us to read this comic for no reason at all, and then don't tell, you know, just like this guy is getting shit on outside, we're looking at comic or, you know, records, and that's the end. Yeah, I don't see how it's a big phenomena thing on the internet. I mean, I guess nowadays, I suppose.
No, but I mean, you know, like that shot of him at the at the record store, it reminded me of the first Avengers. Did you ever watch the first Avengers to the post-credit scene?
Where they go to shawarma?
The shawarma, yeah. yeah.
What
What is it? They sit there in complete and utter silence. Nobody says a word. They're just sitting there chewing on this food, and the owner of the shop is like sweeping all the wreckage from their
That was
epic
good.
battle.
Yeah, that was good.
Right, but like to me, that's the kind of vibe that I got from this, shot at the at the end where he's at this record store. So it's just okay. There it
That
is.
would've been- if at the end of the very last panel, them being in there, and he's proud of himself that he did what he just did, he'd be like, "Want to go to the record store?" And boom, you know what I mean? The record
Right.
store.
All right, there you go. Oh, there you go
Anyway,
again, Bob, doing that Monday morning writing.
Righty, man. What a jerk. You know you guys do it too. Don't lie. Y'all do it too.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
though, I wanted to go to the second comic strip. I wanted to show more about that just because it was a little more interesting to me. I found it comical. What did you think about that one?
Yeah, I like it. I don't know how much I would have liked an entire comic like you said, but what I get from this, I would have rather have read that in a full comic form than what I just read.
I would have given it maybe an opportunity because even with this short snippet that we got, they awoke my interest. Because here this guy he comes and he's like, hey, and then he's like, well, what'd you do? And then he's like, well, I read that book. And it's just like, what book? And then he's like, oh, from the Forbidden Shelf. So now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, what book? What Forbidden Shelf? What's that about? And then he like whips out this book that has like this angry face on it. And clearly,
it looks like the fuck, I can't remember the name, but the Evil Dead book. Oh,
yeah.
Guys, Thomas, I can't remember the name. One of my favorite movies. Sorry, Mr. Campbell. Sorry. I love you, man. Big fan.
So it has all of these like symbols in it, everything from like one satanic symbol to like the image of death. And even, I would even say that that's some kind of Illuminati symbol there. And then he starts reading in this foreign language, and the next thing you know, it like solves the whole thing. But then now I'm left wondering, I'm like, oh, okay, so like what's the deal with this book? If they elaborate on that, it might just keep me interested enough to where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll read this, even though it's a comical, silly, because even the artwork is kind of silly.
Yeah, if this is like a preteen Dean and Sam Winchester, from Supernatural, another one of my favorite shows. I love Supernatural. But like that kind of feel, you know what I'm saying? Like a goofy preteen thing, that would be cool if they went out and did the things that Sam and Dean Winchester did as these goofy little teenagers, just make a light of it, that would be fun. I would enjoy something like that, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, that's the best thing this thing's got going for it is that little snippet of a comic. Like I said, there was parts where people were talking and there was no spaces in the was that supposed to be some kind of symbolic for something or?
Yeah, so from what I saw, that's the thing that Spike does, because she was the only one in the comic that did it. It was whenever she was talking. So it looks like when she gets nervous, that's what she does. She kind of talks really fast. So there's like no spaces between her words. So I guess that's one of her like character quirks.
So all the things I thought were mistakes were just their attempt to be clever.
Yeah, they were.
Didn't pull it off.
Yeah, not in your book.
Or
No, they didn't pull it
I'm
off.
just too stupid. I am a simpleton, so.
No, like I said, and that is if I'm correct in my assumptions. I could be wrong, but that's just what I gathered from.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I'm sure you are, because it does. I do recall it being her. Both those times that it happened, I think.
Yeah. She gets nervous. She seems to start talking fast, which I get. Some people do that. But yeah, overall, man, I don't know. Like, if you asked me to read a second issue, I'd have to give a hard pass, man. I don't think I would do it.
Even if you gave it to me, like here,
Yeah,
man. No. I tell you what, come to work tomorrow while I'm working and read it to me. That way I don't feel like I'm wasting any time.
Congratulations on your asshole.
Even then, I might have to be like, sorry, I'm busy. I gotta.
Well, for a really good friend, like if my really good friend made it and was like, come on, man, the second one's so much better, I'd be like, all right, man, but this is how it's got to be done.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, because the thing is, like, like I said, when I did my research, I ended up finding out it was a webcomic at first, and I think I even had I found a website where you could read like 1 or 2 issues of the old stuff, and I took it upon myself not to read it because I just wasn't interested.
Say, did you do it? Because I'm not going to.
No, man, I really wasn't interested at all.
So we're bashing a popular webcomic, huh?
A popular webcomic that was made specifically for depressives. Yeah, we're looking to get canceled, man. But that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
Let's go watch Nobody. So yeah, I guess that's it, guys, man. Don't go waste your money on that. I'm the last Bob. I'm the show. He's the tell. Christian the show Towers, and that
Wait,
was.
I thought it was. Wait. I thought I was the show. You're the tell.
What did I say? Well, that's all we got, guys. I don't really know what else to say, man. Except for I'm the show. Damn. Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. I wouldn't go waste your money on that. He's the show. I'm the tell. See you next time.
Yeah.